Welcome to my home studio. I am 𝗬𝗏𝐶 𝗫𝐿, the author and illustrator of the children's book, U is for Urial, an animal alphabet. So today I am going to talk to you about that process. So where do you start? Where did I start? Well, an idea is a good place to start, which seems obvious and maybe simple, but I have an entire notebook full of ideas. And I actually, this is my, U is for Urial is my third attempt at writing a children's book, fourth if you count the book I tried to write in 5th grade. So I had painted about a dozen animals before it occurred to me that I could create an animal alphabet book. That was my aha moment after I had been doing this for several years. So after I came up with the idea, it took me another 5 years to finish all the paintings and write and research the text and publish the book. So lesson number 1 is do something that you love. When I first started painting and I was taking classes, there was a woman in the class who would say, "Another animal? Don't you want to paint anything else? Why are you always painting animals?" And I said, I don't know, I like painting animals. And so 5 years later, it turned into a book. So it's so important to do something you love. Not everything you do is going to turn into a finished project or a product or a book or something that you will sell or keep. But do what you love and you never know what it's going to turn into. So for this book and any type of book, I start with a storyboard. In this case, this is a sample of a storyboard, right? And this one has 32 pages. Many children's books are multiples of 8. And I found out once I started doing my printing, that is because that's the way the printing presses work. It's easier to cut on sheets of 8. I, of course, made my book 54 pages because I wanted to create the book that I wanted, that I loved. And I was trying to squeeze everything into a smaller format. This is one of my early storyboards here. And you can see this is before I knew what all the animals were gonna be. And sometimes they changed and sometimes the direction changed. So a storyboard is useful for a number of reasons. One is to help you get a sense of the layout, how things will look on the page. Doing a storyboard also helped me develop the book, and you can see here my sketches are very loose, does not need to be fancy at all. Another way you can develop your book and test out your ideas is to take the different pages and tape them up to the wall, or in my case, I created a bulletin board in my studio and I tacked up all the different pages of the book, and I was able to move things around and see what flowed, what worked, what didn't work, and continue to work on developing the ideas and the layout of the book this way. Now a little bit about my painting process. I start with a sketch and then I mix my colors. Sometimes I mix several dozen until I get just the right color that I'm looking for. Painting is a process, and often we only get to see the final piece of artwork. So I thought it might be interesting to show you a few steps of my work in progress as I went along painting this camel, which was painted from a photograph I took at the Cape May Zoo. Here are some layout photos from when I was trying to cram everything onto one page. This is another idea I had for the layout. And here's what it looks like in the final book when I stopped cramping my own style and gave myself space. Here is the sketch for the Urial, and you can see with my painting process, I start by blocking in some of the first layers of colors. It gets more detailed as I go along. I'm adding in the background. You can see a little green in the side there, which I ended up painting over. Just didn't work. The writing for U is for Urial involved an enormous amount of research, which I loved, and writing and editing. I'd say I did hundreds of edits and revisions, and the key to good writing is really in the editing. I was lucky enough to have two great editors, Lena Schiffman for my watercolors and Laura Szabo-Cohen for my writing. There are many technical aspects of creating a book and preparing the files for the printer. And I was fortunate along the way to work on my design and my layout with two students and two professors from Stockton University, Yahara Ruiz and Alyssa Petrella, as well as Professors Hannah Weno and Michael McGarvey. And the students really were able to work with me side by side to create and implement my vision for the book that I had been working on for many years. And here are just a few pages of the final book. And the end.